Tennessee-Alabama game where Nick went down. And what is more enjoyable, people, than seeing Nick go apeshit on the sidelines yelling at some kid after he had been on, any number of interviews where he tries to act like a human being and says, well, it's all about the kids. And then he Woody Hayes this guy. I mean, it was insane. I mean, he stopped just short of Bobby Knight, the kid, and strangling him, right there on the sidelines in the middle of a game. All that being said, now, people always made this equation, right? That penalties fall upon the responsibility of coaches. That it's not players that commit penalties, but if you have an inordinate number of penalties, an absurd number of penalties in a game, that it falls on the idea that maybe you're not coaching well. So then how would you ever justify Nick Saban's team getting penalized 17 times in a game against Tennessee? 17 times.
That's crazy.
Nick, what's going on there? Where's the discipline, Nicky boy?
The time.
Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
And a very pleasant good morning, everybody, and great to be with you. Jeff DeForest and one Mike Lubie-Lubitz, a particularly feisty Mike Lubie-Lubitz this morning, as we welcome you to what will be another edition of the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge, and just a general skull session overall here on this fine Thursday. Coming off a great evening last night. Always good to see Mike Mayo get up. I mean, as if there was some form of levitation involved here. And music definitely is the chicken soup of the soul. Is it not, Mike Lubie-Lubitz? The guy was having a horrible day. You guys had all kinds of technical problems out there at the Southport Raw Bar. I ended up being a scratch from the show, released from the anxiety of sitting there going, are we on? Are we on? Are we on? Is it going to work? Are we on? And, of course, this was an occasion where I guess the biggest client on the show was involved, and you're sitting there looking like a putz, right? Yeah, I think it works. Through no fault of your own, Mike Lubie-Lubitz. I mean, this is internet hell, correct? What's that?
Well, no, it wasn't internet hell. There's a new one where we actually had internet, but it wouldn't let us into the site. Like they had, and it was 100% the place because my hotspot worked. It's working now, as you can see. There was some firewall thing that was blocking us from getting in, so it had nothing to do with us. But we found a way on.
Russian involvement? Was Putin to blame here? Did it have anything to do with the war in the Ukraine? Meghan Markle, or perhaps you heard some of the comments that were not particularly flattering that we made on the show about the objectification of women and how horrible it had to be for her to stand there with that suitcase for $2,500 a show. Imagine it. Wow. And wait for Howie Mandel to go, number 23. Okay, which one is that? And then kind of saunter forward in a fashion model type way and open up a suitcase, and it says $100. You're fucked. that was a crazy show. You didn't have to do much in that show. She was expecting, I guess, to recite some Shakespeare. No, right? As she came forward, wherefore art thou, Romeo? It's like, okay, Megan, you can act a little bit. That's why you're on the show. That's why you're in Hollywood, because you're a pretty face, and maybe you do have some acting ability. We'll see. But anyway, good to be with you here on this fine Thursday. Mayo was levitated to the dance floor last night. A great show by John Papa Grow, who I guess, what would you say? I mean, New Orleans funk guy, has a little bit of Dr. John in him. I don't know if you're familiar with Dr. John. Must have been the right place, but it could have been the wrong time. You know that guy?
I know that song. Yeah,
got a little bit of that, but I think more versatile even than Dr. John. I don't want to, say anything disparaging about Dr. John, a legendary performer and Hall of Famer. But this John Papa Grow is great, man. Well, what an exhilarating show. Funky Biscuit, that's in Boca Raton, Florida. If you're ever in town, if you're from out of town watching a show, I would make plans, clear your social calendar, find a date there, and just about any show they put on is fantastic. This happened to be particularly good. But it brought to light an interesting topic that I got into right away with Lubie here today. And I actually want to explore some of your thoughts here, Lubie, that you discussed with me before the show. And you thought just because you were in the middle of a tirade with me that even though it was 7 o'clock, we should just continue that I was being rude to you by cutting you off because
tirade. You started the tirade. You brought up the topic. You knew it was going to get me going. And then like, all right, never mind.
Well, it's an interesting theory, okay? Because a lot of people spend time talking about the New York Yankees. Right. And I did get my post today. So can you tell I'm in a little bit more of a comfort zone? Okay. It's, like my fastball all of a sudden went from 87 to 92, and it's finding a little movement, and it's on the low outside corner, whether you're a righty or a lefty. But I did get my post today, and, of course, right on the back, The headline is "Say It Ain't Mo," and the sub headline there is Hal, as in Steinbrenner, says Boone will be back, but Rivera thinks it's the wrong move. So some of these old Yankee legends are saying Aaron Boone, and Mariano Rivera was there like for 100 years, so he played. I think he played with Stengel, but he also played with Aaron Boone on one of their championship teams.
He was a part of the team that Aaron Bleepin' Boone. He hit that home run, his one highlight of his career against the Red Sox.
I don't know that was the sole highlight, but it certainly was the most important one. But and the one that stands out. Now the managerial tenure. When you look at it, it's funny because look at what they're howling about here in New York. They absolutely despise this guy. He won over 100 games his first couple of years as a manager. Now he hasn't won a championship, and that's obviously it's one of those teams where and franchises where nothing is okay if you don't win the World Series, and they haven't done that since 2009. So that's going back a long way. But this is central and compelling material in New York City. And you say Mike Lubie Lubitz, and it's kind of interesting because there may be some truth to it. I'm not sure. Because I was with the great Joe Casale, the ultimate Yankee fan, but he would fit the demographic that you're discussing. Not that he's an old fart. He's in his 60s. I don't consider that old. Well, when you're in your 70s, you consider that to be a young man. Right?
Yeah, he's not old. He's just old. He's a different generation. I'm just saying, like, I think you find yourself.
You say nobody cares about the Yankees. I want to establish this.
Down here.
Nobody cares.
Like, I haven't had a Yankee conversation since early 2000s. Like, no one, like, they're not national like they once were. They're New York. Like, New York cares about the Yankees. I mean, first of all, it's just baseball. It's not even a Yankee thing. Like, baseball in general.
Right. You're saying it's a generational thing.
You can talk about
this generation doesn't care about them. Sorry, keep cutting you off.
And I'm sorry. You can talk about the Carolina Panthers, who suck. They're one of the worst teams in the NFL, more than you could talk about the best baseball team. I don't know why. That's just where we are right now in sports.
Oh, okay. So you're saying that it's very limited, the interest in baseball, but you say it's divided. It may be true. I mean, maybe that's obvious too. That the older generation, old farts, geezers at Caesars like me, we were baseball fans. Now, I will admit, I don't have the same attachment to baseball that I once did by any means. I used to know the ins and outs and the idiosyncrasies and all of the minutiae about every player on every team. Now, when I was growing up, there were only 16 teams. Okay, so you had more stars on each team because the division of the talent was half of what it is today, essentially. They have 30 teams now. And so, people have been talking about how expansion causes dilution in talent. So you have a lot of lousy teams. Now, the other thing that's in play is, all sports seem to want to go in this direction, although it's less impactful in baseball because of the way it's structured with no salary cap to speak of, although there's a luxury tax. But it doesn't really curtail the big market teams from spending whatever the hell they want. They don't mind going over the luxury tax. It's prohibitive in basketball, although you have Golden State is what, like $500 million over the luxury tax? I mean,
I was going to say the luxury tax in baseball is not what it is in basketball. Outside of the Golden State, teams do give a crap. Like, Arizona has plenty of money, and the Heat every year are worried about the luxury tax. Like, it's a lot more punitive than it is in baseball. Scoop
Skolnick complied, and I would take him at his word because he reports on this kind of stuff with great authority and usually very factual. That P.J. Tucker essentially going to what he went to the 76ers for 3 years, $30 million, which would seem like nothing. I mean, you're paying journeyman 3 years, $30 million in the NBA today. In fact, you're paying journeyman $30 million for 1 year in the NBA today. But that was prohibitive for the Heat to lay out that kind of dough because they didn't want to be 1 cent over the luxury tax. Yep. And so they let a guy go that was sort of critical to remember last year they tried to transition into getting a little bit more tough defensively with Tucker and Morris. And whatever happened to Morris, man? What happened to that guy?
Remember, he had the thing. He never returned from the freaking Jokic thing.
Right. He never came back from that. Is he actually on the Heat roster anymore, or did they let him go?
Someone signed him, but have you heard him? I mean, it's only 6 games, I guess, but
Nothing,
I haven't heard him.
Nothing. All right. So that was one of the things that they tried to do last year, where it was to get tougher, and P.J. Tucker was a pretty integral part of that. And then on top of that, he was capable of hitting. It was like Bowen many years ago, where tough defender, but then could also hit the corner 3. Yep. Bruce Bowen. who became a very popular commentator, Bruce Bowen, and actually very articulate and usually pretty sharp in his opinions. But I haven't seen too much Bruce Bowen on any network lately. Did he die? What happened to Bruce Bowen? I thought he was doing a good job on ESPN and some of these other
We
channels.
liked him. He was one of those guys. I think we had him on once or twice. He
Yeah.
was in one of those massive layoffs. Remember a couple years ago where ESPN was
Oh, okay.
he
That's
was
unfortunate.
caught up in that, which sucked.
Much better to get some guy that blathers a lot of nonsense, but gets attention because he says a lot of really stupid things. And therefore, we admire that now. That's just the direction that the country is going, and it's rather unfortunate. All right, so here's Boone. 2018, he gets a job. He goes 162. All right, 162. In the wild card round, they beat the A's, and in the division series, they lose to the Red Sox 3-1. All right, strike one for Aaron Boone. 2019, he wins 103 games as manager, 103 and 59. The Yankees finished first in the AL East. He wins the divisional series, beats the Twins 3-0, but then loses to the Astros in the championship series 4-2. No disgrace. Astros a very good team, and people are starting to call for his head. Then you had the COVID-19, the screwball year of 2020. He still has a winning record, finishes second in the AL East, wins the wild card round over the Indians, and then loses a divisional series to the Rays 3-2. No disgrace. The Rays were a very, very good team and playing good baseball at the time. But nonetheless,
They don't
no
get over.
championship. Aaron Boone, hot seat starts to percolate a little bit. 2021, last year, goes 92 and 70. Not exactly scintillating stuff. Finishes second in the AL East, and then loses in a wild card round to the Red Sox. It's a one-game proposition. They lost at 6-2. And then this year goes 99 and 63, was headed for before, they really kind of were impacted by a lot of different things, including injuries, which, happens to all teams. I know it's cliche to say, yeah, well, it wasn't for injuries, but, every team incurs some injuries. They happen to just sort of dissipate. And, when one thing was starting to get back together, others were falling apart. And then a couple of their players, a lot of guys had real hot first halves for the Yankees, and then did nothing in the second half of the season. That catcher they brought in, Trevino, not Lee, but he was an all-star. And then second half of the season, this guy couldn't put a bat on a baseball. So they kind of went south. And so he goes 99 and 63, and of course, beats the Guardians, Cleveland, 3-2, life and death, and they were ready to fire him after Game 3. And then loses to the Astros in a sweep. Although, even though the Yankees were dead flat, they still were in 3 of those ball games. Could have easily walked out of there 2-2 and going back to Houston, maybe even with a 3-2 lead if they had been able to take the series any further. But so is that grounds for dismissal, Lubie? What do you think?
It's funny. It's been. I'm trying to think. When I had teams that were like
3 seconds to first place division finishes. 3 seconds to first.
No, we said yesterday he went to 6 straight playoffs, and I find it funny that he's on the hot seat. Look, when I was a Dolphin fan growing up, we had Super Bowl aspirations, but they didn't make it every year. So you didn't. It wasn't Super Bowl or bust. Now the Knowles for most of my life until I hit college, you expected titles or bust, but you were okay doing what they're doing. You were okay competing. As long as you were competing, you were okay. The titles or bust mentality is rough for me because there's only one team, like we've talked about, that can win every year. So you can't really expect to win every year.
Every other team can't have had a disappointing season.
Yeah, like that's my problem.
It's ridiculous.
And in baseball, it's not like football where it's not like basketball where everyone makes the playoffs. Like until now, it was a very small number of teams that made the playoffs. So making the playoffs should be a good.
It's still a smaller percentage than other sports. But basketball, I guess football, is in sort of in that category, but they still have more teams in the playoffs than baseball does. Baseball has what now? 10 teams in the postseason.
Yeah.
Football has 12, and the other two have 16, which is ridiculous because they only have 30 teams. NHL and the NBA, more than half the teams get in. Yeah. It's kind of like when I was growing up watching a 6-team league, and 4 teams made the postseason. There were only 6 teams. There were only 2 teams that were eliminated from the entire regular season back in the original 6. It was great, right? And the Rangers were usually one of them with Jean Rattel and Vic Hatfield. I know that when they had that team, they were fine. But I'm going back to the Chief, Harry Nielsen. And who was the other guy that was on the back line there, on the blue line? Harry Howell. Remember Harry Howell? No, number 3?
I
They had a shitty team.
Maybe Cerny does.
Johnny might have, covered those teams. I don't know. He's right there with me. We love you, Jim. We really do. Unbelievable. He's already got facts up here that we could pass along and act like we're smart if we just pass them along. Because most people, I guess everybody sees the chat line here.
Like Golden State's worth $7 billion. Like we went from 1.5 billion being a huge deal, like a handful of years, 10 years ago, to 7.
Well, they have the new arena, right? Which is sort of closer to San Fran, or is it in San Fran as opposed to like Oakland?
Yes, this
okay.
is.
I mean, it speaks for itself, and it probably, I would imagine, the municipality was, held at gunpoint, by a guy with a ski mask on from the Warriors organization, and they ended up getting fleeced, much like the city of Miami did with the Lone Depot Park now. Which, all of the money goes to the Marlins. You would think the Marlins would be in a very, very favorable position. Even if they can't draw flies, they should be in a pretty good position because they get all of the revenue from the stadium every dime.
Yep.
I mean, the city gets nothing. It just gets punched in the face season after season. The commissioners really have to be proud of themselves for putting that together for the Marlins, and then they look at the completely empty stage that they play on every night, right? It's like a dress rehearsal for a show on Broadway. No, you can't come in here. No, and no photography, no flash cameras, all right? Get the hell out of here. They don't want anybody coming into this place. I don't know what it is. But anyway, all right, so your argument is that baseball is just passé, that we're paying too much attention to it. Me bringing up the Yankees every day and their perils because it's like 16 pages of the New York Post sports section. And because we have Harvey Fialkoff, who used to be with us on the show, and then our good friend Joe Casal, and they're constantly posting on Facebook, the social media source. It's like the lone social media source I have. I don't get into TikTok. TikTok is now being run by the Chinese government or something, right? Isn't that the assertion?
Oh, I don't know.
It's just a communist propaganda platform, TikTok?
I have it for us, and I'll post on it. Yeah. I don't use it religiously. Twitter is the one I use the most, and then I'll use Instagram and Facebook. TikTok is whatever to me. Shirley, my wife, that's all she does is stay. Whenever she's not working, she stays on TikTok.
Okay. I mean, because it's been associated now all of a sudden. There's some politician screaming that at the root of TikTok is just pure, raw, unadulterated evil.
Okay.
And I don't know if that's true about Instagram. We'll probably find that out. Twitter, I stay off because I don't think I could take it, Lubie.
No,
I thought I'd be very good at it, doing in-game commentary, because that's basically what I do. I mean, the entire time that I'm watching a game, I'm schlubbering some kind of commentary. But as if I was doing a game. And although my commentary would be very different, it'd be probably a deeper extrapolation of what the Mannings are doing. So I don't know, and it probably would be advantageous for me to go on Twitter and deliver all of these comments, and then have people either love me or hate me based on that. That's kind of what we're doing here, right? I mean, I don't know. I'm assuming that the people that are tuned into the show are kind of on our side of things. There were always the people on the radio that said, "I only listen to you because you suck."
That was my favorite when they would bitch and moan.
All right, great. Yeah. This DeForest hasn't said anything intelligent or interesting in the last 27 years that he's been on the air. It's the same stale material and jokes.
Would call you Mifo, and he would bitch and moan, and he would always talk on Facebook as well, and he'd bitch and moan at me for years, and I would always be like, "Well, I appreciate you listening, even though you hate it."
Hates every word. Yeah. I never got that. I never understood that.
I don't understand.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess it's interesting because you would listen to guys on the radio, and I mean, I've been a huge sports talk fan my entire life. Going all the way back to, in New York City, there was one sports talk show, and we mentioned this many times. You know who the host was?
I know, what's his name?
John Sterling. Yeah. John Sterling. When I went to L.A., when I first moved out there, I thought the sports talk was just very, very mild and tempered compared to what you were getting out of New York, which wasn't really much then at the time. It wasn't this hostile screaming and making a big deal out of every little thing that happens. Okay. Like, I don't know, how many hours can you dissect Aaron Rodgers going on the Pat McAfee show, a podcast that McAfee has now made hundreds of millions of dollars on because he has access to guys like Aaron Rodgers, who doesn't really speak much to anybody else, does he?
Rodgers is Aaron. Did you know that? He's actually a partner in it, so that's really the only reason he goes on, and that's the only reason why he says this crazy shit on it, because he wants to bring attention to it.
Well, he certainly does. Okay, so you don't usually hear a quarterback trash his teammates, and now, I mean, and it's interesting because it just keeps sort of spiraling all of this stuff, and that's what sports talk and sports analysis has become largely. So you go find a guy like Kurt Warner, and this was a story today online. Kurt Warner says that it'd be probably advisable for Brady and Aaron Rodgers to just retire, like never can say goodbye. And he feels like they're hanging on like Roberto Duran was at the end of his career, where it's like, Roberto, what number comeback is this? Can you give us an idea? And, the guy had come back out of retirement like 11 times, mostly because he probably needed a paycheck. Right? I don't know what they did with his money in Panama. You would think he was well taken care of. But anyway, nonetheless, he's saying Kurt Warner, they found a quarterback who played till he was 38. Obviously, he's a Hall of Famer, right? Kurt Warner, did he get into the Hall of Fame? Hall of Fame, Kurt Warner?
I think he did. Yeah, I think he did.
I want to say yes to that.
Yeah, he did.
Right, Kurt Warner, Hall of Famer, and what he was doing for those couple of years with the Rams was phenomenal, right? I mean, it was a pleasure to watch. It was kind of like watching Golden State a couple of years ago, either before or even when they had Kevin Durant, and you said, "Wow, I mean, that's what I want to see." We've been talking about this in relation to the Dolphins forever. If you're not going to be good, be entertaining at least, be exciting.
Yes.
They sort of have that element and component in their game right now. They have the potential, at least, to be really exciting. And maybe that's why we can give Mike McDaniel somewhat of a free pass on a bozoic strategic decision, because in general, he seems like he's capable of putting together and using these components that he has, as in Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. And, now we're seeing Mostert, reappear as a real force. And Tua, and using their talents in a very creative way. And it does seem like he's finding these guys opportunities to make big plays, does it not?
Yep.
All right. So if that's the evolution of his coaching tenure, then great. Then you're going to have a very exciting team that's capable of putting a lot of points on the board. And every now and then, if he happens to make a bozoic strategic decision, so what? He's a rookie.
Well, and that's the thing is, look, like you talked about this the other day, how he should have done this and that. And what's funny about it is you said you're the older kind of guy who likes when they take chances.
I do. They were way too conservative on these plays in the past.
More fun of Sperano than you. Like you're the one that would be.
It wasn't just him, though. I mean, actually, the whole tradition of watching football for anybody that, I mean, here I am. I'm a geezer at 71, but I mean, guys in their 50s, 60s, whatever. I mean, maybe even you. For forever, I mean, you just looked and said, how could you not go for that? They were so overwhelmingly conservative. I mean, so far to the right in terms of never taking a chance on a fourth down.
Yep.
All right, so you're not asking a guy to go for 4th and 14 from midfield, but, it would be like less than a yard, and they would just, never even consider it, right? Okay, here comes the punt team. I tell you what, well, that's the right move, Joe. Don't you think so? It's like, no, the guy should have been screaming. What kind of gutless punk is this coach?
So,
how many times did he have his lunch swiped from him before he got into school when he was going to like 3rd grade?
Because he was a weenie.
Pussy. I don't want to
I love that you
make an equation to any female anatomy, but I mean this in the sense of just being afraid to do anything that would put you in a position where you might be wrong. Right, I mean that it was overwhelmingly conservative. The 4th down, just never going for it on 4th down. In fact, the Green Bay Packers, surprisingly, you would figure that Vince Lombardi, run the ball. Was going to be the biggest advocate of conservatism in that regard, and he actually would take a lot of shots on 4th down and throw a bomb. Right, and that was the classic. Right, you can still hear Ray Scott in your head, the announcer saying, "Star dollar." Touchdown. And you're like, what? Touchdown.
That was weird.
A ball fake there to Paul Horning, right? You're figuring the Golden Boy is going to churn up a yard easily, and boom. Next thing you know, here's Bart Starr throwing to a wide open Carroll Dale. It was great. But here was Lombardi. He was more of a gambler than a lot of the other coaches in the league. And, you would think of Vince Lombardi. Don't you immediately think of conservatism in terms of his approach to the game?
3 yards on a cloud of dust. So that's my thing is you got me into look, at some point you gotta take a little chances, guys.
Take some chances.
What you're seeing is guys, and we know this is what happens. They do the opposite now. They just go. Yeah. You get the Brandon Staley, who's a raving lunatic, and so McDaniel's not to their level. He's not Hackett, But when you want to be exciting, at some point you can go overboard. So he is young. He has to learn that, okay, you can go for it. And then there's a times where it's like, I don't need to go for it. It'd be okay here to just take the thing.
Well, I'm amazed. I mean, analytics, if that's going to be to blame. Now, the story was, as we got from John Kajemi, that I guess, when do they consult all these people? In the 30 seconds between plays? They're sitting there going, okay, what do the analytics say? And you got a bunch of geeks there with the pen protectors and, little, pinwheel beanies on in the press box going, you have a 57% chance of being more successful if you go for it here, coach. And so he said, okay, offense, back out on the field.
My
How
problem
does
is
that work?
the weenies are the ones that say kick the field goal.
Yeah.
That's what's
Well,
weird.
and that's what John told us, that was, the word out there was that the analytics dictated to kick the field goal. Here's the thing about that situation, though. I mean, just from a common sense standpoint, you've been watching sports your whole life, should be able to figure this out on your own. All right. How many times have you seen it where they do make the first down in that spot, but they, don't get inside the 10?
Still get a field
So
goal.
now, okay, so they needed 2 yards from the 14. So let's say they got to the 11-yard line. All right. Now they end up not getting the touchdown anyway, and then having to kick the field goal as a result. So meanwhile, you've gambled away a big chance there, because there's a likelihood that you don't make it, and even that's what got to be like at best you have a 60-40 chance maybe of making that. So there's an overwhelming not overwhelming, but a very strong possibility that you're going to fail in that spot and come away with 0. Which would be the worst possible result. So when you weigh all that out, you have to think that, okay, just concede that you got stopped, go for the field goal here. And, at least it's a gimme. You held the ball for a long period of time, so you accomplished something there. And you're still driving on these guys, and now you're driving a little dagger right into their heart on the scoreboard, because they not only have to find a way to get a touchdown, but then they're going to need a subsequent field goal to win, even if they hold you to 0 points the rest of the way, which they did.
What happened?
Yeah, and the likelihood of that seemed very slim.
Hey, they should have scored again.
It's whatever. I would think, yeah. I mean, that might have changed the whole dynamic there, and the whole argument would have. I don't think that argument would have gone out the window, though, because that was just a strategic blunder. But the truth is, it used to be so conservative that you would be screaming, "Go for it! Go for it! You absolute idiot! How could you not go for it?" And now you're thinking, "Wow, he's going to kick the field goal there? You got to be kidding me!" I mean, it's reversed, because they're more likely to go for it. So it seems like, okay, yeah, they're leaving the offense out on the field. Now, I'm not a big fan of the fake, count, the snap count to try to draw somebody off sides. I think that should be illegal.
They're stupid. It just wastes time.
A flag should be thrown if the clock expires. I mean, well, they do throw a flag anyway, but it should be far more punitive if they do that, and just to try to force the team to go off sides. It's a punk move. I mean, again, but yeah, that was pretty crazy that. The whole turnaround has taken place where coaches are going for it in ridiculous situations.
Because that's my problem. Like, if let's say they're up 3, then I can see, because going up 6, going up 10 are two different things. Yeah, 6 gives you a full touchdown, but okay, at least you're now the difference between.
Still got a week, yeah.
But 2 scores and 2 scores in the third quarter with Kenny Pickett at quarterback, like. You're just making your job hard. Like, it's okay. Life's hard enough. You don't have to make it harder.
I mean, there was a chance there that you essentially iced the ball game, which they would have. The way it played out, they would have had the game on ice. So all of that stuff that happened at the end would have been relatively meaningless, because Pittsburgh would have had to not only score when they had the ball with like 5 minutes to go, but then after getting a touchdown, be able to recover an onside kick or stop the Dolphins. I mean, it was insane. How do we get there from old geezers are the only ones that like baseball?
Well, because conservative, old school, then took you into the NFL for some reason, conservatism, and then took you to Mike Daniel somehow.
We can't bury that, man. It's kind of like the Yankee fans with Aaron Boone here. Here he is. There's Booney right there in the paper. Should he go or should he stay? Hal says he's staying. I told you they weren't going to get rid of this guy. They just signed him to a 3-year extension prior to last year. He's got 2 years left on a contract. Not that the Yankees care about that. But then the other side of the coin is, who are you bringing in? I don't know. What is it? It seems to be mismanagement of the bullpen. and not having any great feel for what's going on during the game. It's not like this guy is Earl Weaver, I guess, according to Yankee fans. But the other side of the coin is how much difference does it really make? The manager, is he really worth 5 games a season, one way or the other? A good manager. I mean, Joe Madden was a darling of managers when he was with the Chicago Cubs, right, and the Tampa Bay Rays before that.
Yep.
Darling, and everybody thought he was a genius, right? Everything he said was held in the highest of regard, right? It wouldn't matter. All of his jokes were funny. Everybody laughed. And then he got to the Angels, and he was laying an egg, and all of a sudden, the guy's a bum. He can't get another job.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
It's unbelievable. So, I mean, I don't know. Managers, look, when we were kids, how long ago was that, Defo? We could have managed the Yankees easily, all of us that were Yankee fans growing up at the time. And we could have managed the Mets, too, because they were horrible. So as soon as you penciled in Duke Snyder in center field, I guess Richie Ashburn was playing center. Duke was in right. Right? A 90-year-old Duke Snyder. He's got a walker with the tennis balls on it, and he's playing right field for the 62 Mets. We could have filled out that lineup card and lost like 100 games, 120 games also. All right, Dave Gurggles Gergely, speaking of geezers at Caesars, this has to be a happy man, and he's a big baseball fan now. Big football fan also.
Huge fan right now. His sports teams are annihilating it. I mean, the Sixers suck, but the Eagles and the Phillies.
Wow, Phillies in the World Series, a big surprise for many people. And look how handsome he is. Dave Gurggles Gergely, ready to get going with the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. How are you, David? You're looking good, kid.
Doing fine. I've just been at work since about 6 this morning. We got a tournament with 144 people, but not till noon, but we're setting everything up. Been running around like crazy. It's the Moya Foundation helps disabled kids, so it will be a busy day today. And another one tomorrow for the Puerto Rican Professional Association, and then another one Saturday. So it is a busy time for us, but not too busy for me to think about my Phillies. All right, we'll take it one game at a time.
I was going to say, it's too bad these golfers are getting such shitty weather. To compete in.
That's why we moved here. I'll tell you, man. And it just went like a light switch from summer, unbelievably hot, to beautiful. Nothing in between. So it's been great.
These are the days you want to tee off about 9 o'clock in the morning, and the birds are chirping. And you feel like you're at one with nature playing this game of golf. All right, so you were saying about the Phil. I mean, look, they're red hot right now. Bryce Harper finally has put us over the top in a decision of whether he's more overrated than the stone crab. And the truth is now at 70 a pound, the stone crab is far more overrated than Bryce Harper ever was, even when he hit 220 and struck out 300 times that one year.
Yeah, pound for pound. I think Bryce Harper's cheaper than stone crabs, pound for pound.
I think so. Yeah, what does he go about? 220?
But you talk about geezers. I harken back to 1964.
Yes,
and that was
remember
the Phillies.
that season.
Gene Mauch was the manager. They're up 6.5 with 12 to go, and he decides from a management point of view, short bunting, every other day pitching them. And there was a big article in the Allentown paper when they were up 6.5. 94-year-old man finally to get his wish, Phillies to win World Series.
Oh, Jesus.
So obviously when the Mets ended up in the World Series, I think, or the Cardinals, I think they said 94-year-old man succumbs to heart attack, I think.
Well, we're laughing
I
at the
heard
man's
the cheapest.
Yeah.
I heard the cheapest ticket is over $2,000 at the upper deck for the Phillies.
Oh, for the games in Philadelphia? Oh.
Yeah. They're crazy up there.
They'll embrace a winner, and they'll more than acknowledge, and they've had plenty of time to be disparaging about a loser in Philadelphia. But when their teams are performing well, there's no question they're behind it. The crowds have been sensational. I know Lubie says there's no interest in baseball.
Oh no, it's good.
Maybe it's just the playoffs, but the crowds at these playoff games all around the country have been fantastic.
I think the ratings, TV will probably take a hit because the Yankees aren't there or the Dodgers. But I think if you polled the country, I would guess it'd be 65 or 70-30 people rooting for the Phillies instead of the Astros because of their reputation.
Yeah, freaking cheap.
Yeah, the Astros are held in some level of disgrace, and probably rightfully so. I mean, that was crazy that. My favorite still was that Altuve was telling his teammates not to touch his shirt because he was wearing a wire. And having experienced that once with a friend of mine, or a guy I thought it was a friend.
Different kind of wire, yeah.
I didn't realize what kind of jackpot he was in, but you know me, I got a big mouth, so there was plenty on that tape. That's for sure. That could have been incriminating. All right, Dave's going to conduct the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge, and you can dial us up if you want to play. We've had a lot of regulars on there. We wouldn't mind seeing some new, fresh, blood in there, or new fish at Oz, as they say. 954-417. Remember being a new fish on that show, Oz? Wow, that was rough. You didn't know. I mean, like being sent down to the Aryans was like a good thing on that show. You remember that show on HBO?
I never watched, heard of it, and Gurggles
that was rough.
TV for the last 30 years.
Oh, that's right.
Not on my antenna. Not on my antenna. Sorry.
You're watching the old Zachary reruns there from WOR.
Oh, Johnny Carson. Carson, Green Acres, Rockford Files. They're beautiful.
See, you're the anti-Mayo, because Mayo fetches about the fact that all of the channels are being taken off of his cable system there, and you don't care, man. I mean, you have that. Do you still have the round UHF antenna that you have to adjust on the black and white TV?
No, I got a fancy one. It costs about $9 that you just plug into the back and it works perfect. Yep.
Oh,
except
beautiful.
when a plane goes overhead. Yeah. When the airplanes go overhead, it cuts out on me, but that's all right.
That was kind of like our broadcasts on WWNN over the years, especially with the nighttime signal there. All right, 954-417-0070. Dial us up if you want to play the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Lubie has a Landlubber's gift certificate, and I didn't realize it. It seems like the week's just flying by. I know it's Thursday, but that means you're going to be out at Landlubber's again tonight, Lubie?
I will. The professor and I will be there 6:30. He's been challenging people because the professor is a very competitive person. He and Gurggles remind me of each other. Like Gurggles is, when someone gets a sweeper, he smiles, but that person's never getting a sweeper again. Yeah. So Ken, the scores got really high there, and we've been doing that for a long time. And the people aren't dumb; they're bright people, but the disparity in scores was ridiculous. So
steroids? Well, what are you thinking?
Well,
Prevagen?
Okay. What we've learned is if you play trivia a lot, you first of all get in the routine of it, and there's only so many questions out there. So you can score better. They get people to come out, they have some fun. The people on Thursdays are very serious trivia players. So Ken was like, well, screw you. And he's made it a little bit more challenging. Right. It hasn't changed the amount of people coming because they like the challenge, but you're getting the chronics specifically bitching every week. Because they used to run they used to pick ass.
Too tough. And of course, because they're not winning every week.
Exactly.
Right? I mean, the Chronics, I wouldn't put it past them to have Carlos Beltran beating like a garbage pail, with like the answer. It's B. Right?
No,
we used to have that when we weren't getting any calls. Go ahead, Dave.
Lenny had a guy in the kitchen with the French fryer banging it against the grill when he knew the answer.
As a guy, taking the orders with the bell ringing, or that your order's up, but it somehow hits a Morse code pattern that gives Lenny the answer. See, I was thinking back to the days when we had Jeff Millman, and we had changed radio stations several times. And in this business, sometimes you end up changing radio stations abruptly, which I had done a few times where, you're on like WIOD on Friday, QAM on Monday. So we had, a few times where we didn't know if anybody was around to play the trivia challenge. We weren't sure we were going to get a single call, especially when we were with the Lapination stations there, which probably had a cum audience of 15. Wow. So we would have a guy outside the studio. I mean, we were at Toyota of Hollywood at the time, or JM Lexus, and the guy would be outside the window playing, and we're looking at the guy as he's on the phone. And then he would come in and claim his prize. Maybe even the same guy would call us somebody else, right?
Except when I gave the questions, if he looked at me when the answer was D, I would go C.
Oh, yeah,
C.
Yeah.
So he would miss it on purpose. Yeah, that made my day.
That's great that you were even misleading the ringer.
I love it.
All right. Well, no ringers here, and I'm sure we have some chronics lining up. So give us a call, 954-417-0070, 954-417-0070, and we'll line up some players for the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Now, David, have you already done some deep diving into the entries for the Breeders' Cup? Because I would imagine... See, now that would be a special occasion to get down there to Hialeah Park to go ahead and plunge on the Breeders' Cup races. What do you think? I mean, do you have any insight into this yet?
I've been looking at the turf races on the 4th, which is the Friday. Fortunately, I have a tournament to do, another charity event, so I won't be able to get there, but I will get there the day before that Thursday the 3rd. And I think it's 11:30 first post on Thursday, and I believe 9:30 or 10. I mean Friday, and either 9:30 or 10:30 on Saturday. So I've been looking at the turf races, and they're very interesting. And Hialeah is a perfect place to bet them. You can get there, you can get your racing form the day before. They still have the machine. I think it's $2 to print the past performances for a track. So if you want to get out there early, and they may have some early additions to the past performances, but what a place to go. You got your own little carousel. You got all the big screens. You can put the volume up on your TV while some other people are rooting for South American Laurel and watch the Breeders' Cup on NBC or USA Network. So, yeah, I'd get out to Hialeah Park. I would go out ahead of time, do a little scouting thing, go there, and then run over to the casino and get something to eat, too, by all means.
Probably pick up a player's card, use some of that free play, head for the high-end reel machines, see if you can hit a jackpot there for 15, 20 grand, and then turn right around. Take that money and parlay it on the Breeders' Cup in the Champions Simulcasting Room. Or, you could pull a Mike Mayo and just put it disguise on. And, people would tell you, hey, Groucho, I loved all of your movies. And it's really Mike Mayo getting ready to play some poker and, taking down some of the people there, all of these poker aficionados there at Hialeah Park. Great poker room there as well. Anyway, it's a lot of fun. You can do many, many things there and have yourself a great time, including just enjoy the entertainment and, go get something great to eat or drink. They recently repaved the parking lot, that main parking lot that they have. Not on the side that we park on, the clubhouse side, but the general parking lot, and put like tremendous lighting there. It's like you could play ball there under the lights. So that's a real nice touch because, you come out of a casino, maybe you made a little score. I don't care where you are. You're thinking, just want to get to my car, right? You're feeling your wallet like you're on a New York subway platform. Well, there you're trying to feel if there's anybody behind you now that was going to shove you under the tracks, which is an unfortunate circumstance that's taking place there. The world has gone to hell, Gurggles. That's why we need things like the Trivia Challenge to help everybody get together and regain a sense of honor and community. So we're going to play the game here in just a moment. Hialeah Park, absolutely a great place to go. Clear your social calendar. 5 a.m. they're open till on Friday and Saturday nights, and 3 a.m. During the week because you have to ward off that evil between 3 and 5 in the morning on weekdays. What'd you say? I mean, it definitely has to be something that is beneficial to society that, they don't have them just open 24 hours a day, but maybe that day will come. Anyway, we'd love it, and we're huge advocates of beautiful Hialeah Park. All right, jump on board if you want to play. 954-417-0070. Lubie has the Landlubber's gift certificate. Dave has the questions, and I'm going to sit here and enjoy the ride as we'll have the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge on the Defo Show in just a moment. Now that. Mike Mayo, surprisingly good dance moves, by the way, Dave. You'll be surprised to know. 7:43.
Folks, Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously. Friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs, unmatched. Steaks, hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Oh, Solo Volante will be coming late. Oh, Solo Volante. The Belmont's now 1 mile and an 8. The finish line is coming up quick. Luca Panici just switched the stick.
The only way to get your morning started is with Defo, joined by Lubie, right here on The Defo Show.
Always great to pay tribute to the great polyman Paul Massell, who was an original founder and co-creator of the game here. And, as we often have said, desperation is the mother of invention, and we were desperate and came up with the what is now the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. But now Polyman also is in agreement, although he's not a militant proponent of this. He does say Boone's got to go. So he's on board with that. That Aaron Boone definitely should be gone as manager of the Yankees. But he's not the type to, put some, moose horns or antlers on his head and go storm the Capitol building, under the, auspices that we have to somehow bring about democracy by, rioting in the streets. Which you never thought was going to be something that happened in America in a modern age. I did want to mention this, and Lubie, to be congratulated. I mean, we often rip Lubie for, your opinions have become much more on target in recent years than they were in the very beginning when we first started working together. So Lubie, when analyzing the Heat, not to be, one of these extremist, overreacting Heat fans, said, you know what they need, Defo? He said it just like this. You know what they need, Defo? They need to exhibit more balanced scoring and not be so reliant on Tyler Hero and Jimmy Butler to carry the load.
I think I use those.
So what do they do at 1-3 last night? They go out to Portland, where the Blazers surprisingly were 4-0 and off to an undefeated start here, and one of the real surprises, early stages of the NBA season. And they have Bam gets 18, Lowry 17, Butler 17, Martin 16, Hero 14, Strus off the bench 16. Exactly. Did you call Eric Spoelstra with this theory, Lubie? And tell them that's what they need as they trounce the previously unbeaten Portland Trailblazers. So congratulations, Lubie, and the Heat that, their second win of the season here, now against 3 losses. All right, we're ready to go. Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge.
Yep.
Also brought to you by Perdomo Cigars. We'll tell you more about Nick Perdomo and the fine company that he put together really from scratch. I mean, maybe even sub-scratch, right? If you're operating out of the trunk of your car, well, you might be one of Paulie's acquaintances from the Bronx, or what? Well, you say
or selling alien wedges, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're getting old Pat Riley suits that were cast off from his days with the Lakers that he had in the closet ever since he took over the Knicks. And they just happen to be available at bargain prices there, as they're being sold out of the trunk of the car. I once made a deal in Chicago with Jim Dunn on some sausage, believe it or not. And literally, we had to go into this, really sort of, I mean, I don't know that I felt threatened there, but it was a neighborhood I wouldn't normally go out of my way to frequent. And on the side of the road, a guy pulls over. He opens up the trunk of his car, and he's got pounds and pounds of sausage in there. And that's it. I mean, that was it. It was like black market sausage. Jim Dunn, as distinguished an individual as you could ever come across in your lifetime. Former GM there at JM Lexus, longtime supporters of ours here on the show. But wow, and you know him. He's very sophisticated, right? Anything he does is like, pretty much first class. And there we are. I thought they were opening the trunk. There was going to be a body in there.
Well, that's what my thought, and they would throw you in.
Yeah. And they're buying like $200 worth of sausages out of some guy's trunk. All right, we're going to take this to the big stage here. Never mind, operating out of the trunk of the car. But Nick did get his business going, I think, rolling cigars out of the trunk of his car many, many years ago. And now it's blossomed into, well, what are they, like number 3, 4, 5 in the world in cigar
They've
manufacturing?
got some number 1 cigars throughout the world, too. Perdomo Cigars, internationally favored. Yep.
All right, what kind of direction? What kind of direction you're going to go in today? Are you World Series heavy, Dave, or is it just
I've got a little bit of everything. Yeah, we'll do Breeders' Cup next week, but I left that out. We'll do a lot of baseball and some other interesting stuff. I see. We'll see.
Who finished second in a Breeders' Cup sprint in the 1987 renewal? No, that would be a tough one for me, for sure. Obscure horse racing questions, always difficult to answer. All right, here we go. Dave Gurggles Gergely, we're going to start the game, the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge, 954-417-0070. And should we begin in a somewhat typical fashion with the Polyman, especially with the World Series tomorrow and some?
Easy baseball. This former big league manager on his team's pitching woes said, You know, the other day I went to church to pray for our pitchers. There wasn't enough candles to light to help our team. Was that Jack McKeon, Jack Marin, Jackie Mason, or Mason Rudolph?
Now, do you fake the contribution when you're supposed to stick a buck in there? It sounds very common in
No, I
Italy.
put it in.
Every church you walked into, which had a lot of great artwork, so it was worth going in.
Yeah.
We lit a couple of candles. Did you always put the buck in? Yeah.
Always. Yep.
All right. Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, it would be a disgraceful thing, right there in the direct line of sight of God Himself. Yeah. No, that'd be kind of crazy. All right. The scrambler is in operation, and boom, it lands on the aforementioned Lenny the Chronic. Going to start us out today on the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Lenny, how are you?
Hello, boys. I'm good. How's everybody?
Morning, Lenny.
We're doing just fine.
Yes. I'll tell you, the only guy with tougher questions than Gurggles is the professor on Thursday nights.
All right, shut up and play the game. Let's go.
Is it worth complaining about, Lenny? I mean, just how difficult are these questions that the professor's thrown out there?
My buddy Ron is so frustrated. He says it's bar trivia, not Mensa. That's nuts.
Which few people in our audience would know that there was a reference to a very.
We enjoy it.
All right, Lenny. Not one to complain. You know what? He doesn't mind playing a tough schedule. All right, so you have 1 point, Lenny, and this is usually a big stumbling block for you. The true/false question.
All right, football, Lenny, true or false? Former Lions, and I believe even had a stint with the Dolphins quarterback Joey Harrington, is not only a news anchor in the Portland area, but also an accomplished jazz pianist.
I think he is a pianist. I think that's true.
I'm going to say true. Yes,
it is true.
Remember when they had various NFL players competing on musical instruments? Harrington was a piano player there, and the joke was he played the piano a lot better than he played quarterback.
Yeah.
Doug Flutie was on the drums. He's a decent drummer. Doug Flutie has a band. He travels with his brother.
What was the guy? Mike Reed from Penn State was a piano player. Remember, the big lineman.
Mike Curtis.
Mike Curtis. Huh?
Mike,
right.
no, Mike Reed. Mike
Anybody
Curtis
play
used
the
to play the
accordion,
organ, but his Mike Curtis used to play the accordion, but his monkey died. All right, come on, let's move along here. Here we go.
Particularly hard on Lenny today, Gurggles. It's great.
Well, he swept me last week. 3-pointer coming up.
That's fun.
All right, Lenny, I know you're a big soccer fan. The first ever international soccer match was held in 1872 with England versus who? Was that France, Germany, Scotland, or Italy?
Wow.
Let's go with Scotland.
The least likely.
Oh, no.
Correct.
He's so pissed. Oh, no, is that...
Get out of here. That's ridiculous.
See, you had to take a shot with that, though.
It was a 0-0 draw.
Very exciting game. I had the over in that one at a hook. I think Ed Kaplan was at that game also. What was that? 18 what?
All right. 1872.
Oh, okay. I was around. All right, here we go for the sweep. Back-to-back weeks. I mean, people are going to start to think this game is rigged, Gurggles. Any ABA, early ABA? I mean, you're going to have to go into a category.
I wouldn't do that to Lenny.
All right.
We'll give him hockey instead.
Hockey.
Lenny, who is the shortest player in NHL history?
Oh, geez.
The shortest player ever to play in NHL history. Ken Shorty Conley, Darren Pang, Gump the Stump Worsley, or Roy Shrimp Waters?
Oh, Jesus.
Let's go with Darren Pang.
Darren Pang.
Pang.
With
the
who?
Commentator.
Darren Pang. Oh,
incorrect. It was a Gump?
It was. Actually, Ken Shorty Conley is the guy Shorty Mary Beth we used to do questions about. It's Roy Shrimp Waters was a goalie, 5'3", but he had 66 shutouts.
Maybe in the final, my friend. Hang on.
All right, Lenny with 5 points.
Take that, Professor. All right.
I was thinking Eddie Geidel was going to be one of the choices there.
Yeah.
Or maybe Billy Barty. Skylo Low.
Yes.
Wasn't he
the
a
Jamaican
goalie
kid,
before he went into professional wrestling? Skylo Low.
Fuzzy Cupid, yeah.
That would have been a good category. Midget wrestlers for 5 points. I'm surprised we haven't, delved off of, into that, a dark
We used
category.
them. We used them in true or false questions, saying that one of them was one of the original Munchkins in The Wizard of Oz. I remember using that. Yep.
There had to be some decent Skylo Low true false that we could have, come up with. All right, Lenny with 5 points. So he's setting a pace right now. You can dial us up if you want to play 954-417-0070. That would be 954-417-0070. We'll play as many as we can here before we get to the finals. Dave Gurggles Gergely and the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. We mentioned Perdomo Cigars. And, I became a big fan of Nick, just getting a chance to talk to him on that one red-eye flight when I was like Nick Cage, leaving Las Vegas, but not in the same fashion. And Nick had been in, and there was a big cigar convention there, as I guess there is annually. I don't know if it's always in Vegas, but I'm going to assume that is, part of the fanfare there. And, I got to speak with the guy, and he had been like a radio sponsor and, was just kind of coming into his own in the cigar industry. And I thought, wow, what a delightful fellow, man. This guy couldn't be any better. And it's always great to see that the person that kind of got the whole concept going had that spirit that now has been consistently passed along, as they've evolved into one of the big cigar companies in the world. I mean, they really put their heart into it.
Yeah, I met him about 27 years ago in what was then Shoes All-Star Cafe. We had our own humidor in there. Smoking was allowed back then in bars. He's smoking a cigar. I talked to him a little bit. He told me, hey, I started this cigar company. I have a little place off Flagler Street back then. I said, well, geez, I just started on the radio with this show. What do you think if we team up? And we've been together ever since. And since then, he's moved right into the Miami Lakes area with a huge warehouse, 5150 Northwest 167th Street off the Palmetto on the south side, a little bit east of the Home Depot. And you don't have to go to the Maldives to enjoy a great Perdomo cigar. You can just go there. 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. every day, Monday through Friday. On the weekends, of course, they're closed. They're a family business. But go online, www.perdomocigars.com, to find the retailer near you that sells these great ones. Whether it's a Connecticut wrapper, a nice mild Lot 23, or the premium edition de Silvia, named for his great-grandfather, as a matter of fact, or actually if you like a little Robusto 20th anniversary Maduro, man, they make them perfect one at a time. So don't wait. Go today, go tomorrow. If it's Saturday, go to a tobacconist and say, I want my Perdomo cigars. And next week, we'll have a Perdomo cigar probably for the Breeders' Cup. But today, tomorrow, just enjoy this great weather, as some of our golfers will today, 140 of them, and then put something great in your mouth with a cigar from Perdomo Cigars.
Any exotic travel plans, Dave? I know you're busy with the golf thing.
Not now. It is the busiest time. As a matter of fact, we just had a luncheon yesterday, and luckily it was for me, for my 40th anniversary of working here.
Whoa!
With the Grahams.
That's amazing.
Did you get? Was there a gift, a watch, anything?
Oh yeah, they get a nice diamond pin with 4 diamonds in, real nice stuff.
Wow.
And then they gave me a little
what
award
pawn
thing
shop
to
is
pick.
that
I
at?
picked out
I was gonna say,
it's there's one right in Hallandale, right near Gulfstream. But and they gave me something else to choose from. It was really nice. And in 1982, you know where the tennis courts were, just beyond there, where the cows were. I started in a trailer, and wouldn't you know it, come this June, we're gonna do complete reconstruction here and remodeling. I'll be back in a trailer again 41 years later, if you will. So, yeah,
like,
full circle. It's kind of like you and your radio career.
Yeah, 940 and ended up there. Yeah. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
No, that's great. 40, I'm glad they honored you, because sometimes, you work 38 years like for Shula, and then, the last couple of years, it's a new organization, and, they sometimes forget the guys.
It's always been the Grahams, Bob Graham and his family, who developed Miami Lakes, and they are just first-class people. You remember my buddy Billy Herman, who I worked for at one time.
He's still around?
And 2003, I hope not. No, in 2003, I lost my mom. Had to fly back to Pennsylvania, and I was there for the bereavement. And Billy Herman asked then Sandy Graham how many days does he get? And Sandy said, that's his mother. He can take as much time as he wants. And the
Wow.
Graham family are just outstanding people. They developed Miami Lakes. They're still very active in the community. And that's why I'm sticking around and working for them. I mean, and we're one of the few private companies that actually has a pension for their employees.
Wow, good for you.
Pension. Wow.
I've been blessed. And this is just the cherry on top of the sundae. So we better move along.
You've been a tremendous ambassador for these guys, though, over the years. I mean,
Yeah, they're
absolutely.
wonderful people.
You
Great
think
stuff.
of Shula's, at least as it was known to me for forever.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
you know, Dave Gurggles Gergely. You're thinking you're going to run into Dave with a big smile on his face. Maybe ask you a trivia question, just passing him in the hallway there. And if you get it right, here you go. Here's a $50 gift card. Go down and have some mashed potatoes. I mean, it was absolutely fantastic. Billy Herman questioned the number of days you would have off upon the death of your mother.
He was a different kind of operator. Let's just put it that way. We call him the coach's caddy. That's how he got the job.
Peter
Yeah, I
Leonard
remember.
labeled him Dracula. He said he looked like he was a quart low on blood. And he did have the slick back hair and everything. All right,
Peter Leonard, by the way, got me the biggest raise ever at Miami Lakes. I went on vacation. Peter Leonard took over for me in the bar, and he got on the mic. He got on the mic one night doing trivia questions, and the president of the Grahams was there, and he asked who got hit by the most balls in the face in baseball, and he said the answer was Rock Hudson.
No. Oh no.
When I came back, they said, "Dave, boy, did we miss you."
Peter had a way of doing that where we'd be doing a radio
Yes.
show and he would crack a joke and everything was going great, and then all of a sudden there'd be like dead silence for like 5 minutes. They were like, that was a good one, Peter. And you know me. I mean, my whole theory in this is keep the ball in the air, right? My dad told me that. He said, you know what? Always keep the ball in the air. And so, you don't want to come to those moments where there's like zero reaction,
You're just like, what the fuck was
except horror in the room. It was kind of like when the stripper Houston had Paulie Mann's testicles in her mouth as he was trying to ask a 5-point question to Lenny the Chronic. And, it didn't come out quite as he had intended. And you know how sensitive Paulie Mann was if he muffed a word or two.
Yes.
Which was kind of surprising. Not speaking well today. All right, we're coming back with more. We'll play some more people here. Is Dave Gurggles Gergely with us on a very busy day out there in Miami Lakes for Gergs, and the golf. What a great time too to play golf. Especially if you can hit one straight tee shot on that second hole from the elevated tee and like bang it to the fringe. Are guys driving that green? How long is that hole?
Some people do. Yeah, some people do. It's the only elevated place. It's the second highest elevation in all of South Florida, next to the garbage dump in Miramar, I think. So yeah, it's a fun. I
thought you were going to say a speed bump at Centennial Bank, because there isn't much in the way of topography down here, which is always why I get a kick out of the people that are riding the cycles. And they got the helmets on, and they got like a 20-speed bike. And I'm like, you only need one gear here. That's slow. All right, coming back with more of the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge here on the Defo Show. Jeff DeForest, Mike Lubie, Lubitz, later on Mike Mayo's Lunchbox. And now not just known as the Gambling Gourmet, but the Candy Man. I mean, he was dancing like he was Sammy Davis Jr. last night. It was absolutely amazing. Back with more in a moment. Now that.
The time!
Candyman can. It's... which candy was he talking about? Nose? It's 8:04.
Yeah.
Ponies in Style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in Style. And you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
Hey folks, Tony Segreto here. Since day one, Catholic Health Services has been part of Old School. And since we've started letting people know about them, it's changed their lives. You see, Catholic Health Services, while being recognized as one of the top places for stroke rehab in the country, it's also about a group of people who not just excel in what they do, from the doctors to the nurses to the therapist, on and on and on. It's how they do what they do every single day that separates them from the pack. They do it with a passion, unmatched, and the inclusion of family in every step of the process. Trust me when I tell you this. If you want the best, unmatched rehab with a special group of skilled, caring people, there is truly only one place, and that one place is Catholic Health Services.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. Their hours have changed a little bit. Monday through Thursday from 3:30 to 10, and Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 11:30 to 10. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Jimmy Johnson joins us here on the great Tom Rinaldi joined us, ESPN, ABC, and virtually everywhere else.
Defo, this is about you guys and what you've done. And I appreciate the music. And this is one of those rare instances where, frankly, I'm not certain that there is a soundtrack which can convey the emotional depth and heartfelt gravity, the hearts that you've touched, the souls that you've mended, the minds that you've shaped, and the mornings that you've wrecked across 10 hard, long years. We can think back in our memories and try to catalog the different touchstones in our lives, but we know one of the great constants, not to be enjoyed as much as to have overcome, is the Defo Show. And with it, like a virus in its own way, that has stayed with us, that we have not been able to shake, we now mark 10 years together.
I tell you what, I bet Lee Schreiber crawls into the fetal position when you start doing the narration, Tom.
I don't think so. I think he's just fine. I think Lee Evans is just fine.
From South Florida to the entire world, thank you to the iHeartRadio app. Here is Defo joined by Lubie on The Defo Show.
That clip especially reminds me of what a brilliant decision it was by iHeart management to dump local programming and bring in Brady Quinn. We have Rinaldi doing Rinaldi, our 10-year anniversary, which Lubie put together. It was a production spectacular by Lubie. I mean, he literally dug up everybody. And fortunately for us, and surprisingly to me, as you just had your 40-year tribute, that 10-year anniversary on 940, I mean, it featured the entire spectrum of our sporting context. And, it was great to have Rinaldi pay that kind of tribute. When, I don't know, we didn't really discover Rinaldi, but we were probably the first to get him to sort of mimic himself
That'd be fun.
on a show. And then he just took to it. I mean, it was like a duck to water, literally, where, he would call for the music from Lubie, right?
Remember that one time? Like, where's the
You're reluctant, to ask somebody to do something, and you don't know if the guy's going to say, hey, listen, DeForest, you asked me to be a guest on your show, and now you want to make fun of me? Go fuck yourself, right? And you're thinking it would be appropriate, considering, but he got right into it, right? He was reading Chinese menus for us as Rinaldi. Over Rinaldi music, talking about that kid we sent to professional wrestling who had skipped school. Oh, no, he won the tickets to the Dolphin game. He had skipped school to come out to the track.
That's right.
It was great. All right, Gurgs, you ready to go? We have to get into
Yes,
action
sir.
here. I know you have stuff to do, so we want to play a few more guys. 954-417-0070 if you want to play the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Got Lenny weighing in, literally. I don't know if Lenny wanted to officially weigh in here on the program. I would say, about 265? What are you thinking, Lenny?
Or higher than that.
You're going over 265, Lenny?
Yeah.
What do you say? What do you say, Gurggles?
I'm staying out of that part. Okay. I just,
I'd
got-
be
he's
inclined
got a
to
great
maybe go under,
personality.
He
He's
was
got a
eating
great
those salads.
personality.
Yeah, no, he's a great guy, man. I mean, we love Lenny the Chronic. The world, wouldn't be as good as it is if it weren't for people like Lenny the Chronic. And obviously anybody else that participates in the game, we're very, very fond of. So here we go. Next set of questions, Dave Gurggles Gergely.
Hockey. This Hockey Night in Canada personality on identifying players said, you know why hockey players wear numbers? Because you can't always identify the body with dental records. What's that? The great Don Cherry, Danny Ferry, Wild Red Berry, or Walter Berry?
That is very, very true. The best comedy often, is an evolution from truth. All right, here's the scrambler. Lubie has Ron. Ron pegged as our next player. Ron, good morning, sir. Welcome to the show, the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge.
Good morning, fellas. Let's go with A.
A is correct. Way to go. Does Lenny have a legitimate beef about the professor there on the live Landlubber trivia?
He's not wrong.
What do you say, Ron?
Oh, the questions are very hard. I think the professor thinks that we're all like ex-Jeopardy champions.
Yes. Who was the guy? I was going to say, who was the guy in the gambler guy that had a long runner on Jeopardy? You're a big quiz show fan.
Yeah. It began with an H, whatever.
Yeah.
All in. Yeah, that
great.
guy, yeah.
He was great.
Ron, you got to remember this. The professor's questions aren't difficult. It's the answers that are hard. All right, here we go, Ron. Football, true or false? Marv Fleming, the tight end of the 72 Dolphins, even though now in his late 70s, is still a kid at heart and can be often seen skateboarding near his home near Venice Beach, California. True or false?
Let's go true.
I'm going to say false. It is true?
It is true. No, that's true, yeah.
That wasn't Marv in a
Fleming was
wheelchair there on the sidelines at the Dolphin?
No. He was a different cat. Marv Fleming.
Okay. He was on a skateboard, you're saying, coming out there.
Yeah,
that wasn't true of all of those
there.
guys, unfortunately. I mean, you could see where the game has its debilitating effects. All right, very good, Ron. 2 for 2, going for 5 here to tie Lenny.
All right, Ron. Kevin Durant just totaled 25,614 career points for 20th place. And he passed whom?
All-time scoring list, I'm presuming.
Yep. Vince Carter, Alex English, Allen Iverson, or Billy Cunningham?
Wow. Good question.
Let's go Allen Iverson.
AI, no.
I don't know. Listen,
No, it's Alex English.
I was going to say English.
Carter's next on the list. He just passed Alex English.
Denver Nuggets, right? Was that his entire career?
Yeah, that's right.
Good player. Very, very smooth player. No doubt about it. All right, going for 7 points, and this will put you past Lenny.
Come on, Ron.
All right, it's World Series time. What player set a record by pitching in all 7 games of the 1973 World Series?
73 series. All
Wally
right.
Fingers, Lee Smith, Goose Gossage, or Darrell Knowles?
Lee Smith.
Repeat the answers.
Yeah. Raleigh Fingers, Lee Smith, Goose Gossage, or Darrell Knowles?
Go Lee Smith.
No. It was the former Philly with the Oakland A's, Darrell Knowles versus the Mets in 73.
All right, stop for playing, my friend.
All right, Professor, thanks for that question. Oh, it's Gurggles, so thanks for that question. Boy, Ron, and now he's going to run into that buzzsaw that is the questions at the live trivia at Landlubbers with the professor just tweaking. And, I understand that because I know the professor. And you don't mind. I mean, you may seem cynical in public about, a guy sweeping, but I know you're rooting for the players to do well. But the professor... That's a whole nother story, man. When he gets angry about something, you're dead meat. I mean, just ask Ben Affleck, who personally is aware of the professor's, unwavering attacks on his integrity as a human being. All right, dial us up if you want to play, 954-417-0070. We have Lenny with 5. He's leading the pack here. Ron bombs out, but doesn't mean he's necessarily completely out of contention in this game. 954-417-0070 if you'd like to play. And we are going to see more of Dave Gurggles Gergely out there. And now you're doing a Beat the Broadcaster today? I mean, is that part of the fanfare?
Yeah, I'll do one today on hole number 5. It's also a close to the pin. So what I've got to do when I get off air, I've got to go out front. I've got all these tags for people's bags when they come to register. Tag their bag. It'll be taken around front to their cart. I'll be doing that till about 11:45. Then I'll rush out to hole number 5, and I'll be there from noon till about 5 o'clock, hitting range balls and handing out prizes. So it's a long day. Yeah.
Now, when a guy tells you he doesn't have any cash on him, so he can't participate in this charitable effort that you're conducting, have you now gone to the answer, which is the portable credit card swiping machine?
Well,
Do you just
today's a
say, "Well,
unique
no
one.
problem, sir. Just give me your, American Express black card here"? and we'll just-"
Everybody gets to hit the ball, but today's a little different. They prepaid everything and everything's sponsored, so
Oh, great.
everyone is automatically in. But generally speaking, like tomorrow and Saturday, I have, when they say, geez, I don't have any cash. Well, the first thing I'll say is, well, you're in a foursome. Do you have any friends? They got cash. You can owe them.
Somebody's
And
going to
the
loan a
last resort-
guy the $20
Yeah,
to
20.
take a shot there. Yeah.
And the last, and most of them will do that. And the last
yeah, all
resort is, I'm so antiquated, I'll have a little sheet, and the volunteer with me will get their name, the credit card number, their zip code, the amount they spend, and then after the day's done, I hand that to the people running the tournament, and they charge them.
Oh, that's beautiful, man.
I don't have one of those fancy things. That's not.
No, you don't need it. I mean, that's that's
Let
brilliant.
them do the work.
Yeah, just go ahead and tack it on the credit card. I love that. All right, next set of questions coming up. Here's Dave
Yes, sir.
Gurggles Gergely, the inner workings of a charitable effort. Yes.
Yeah, speaking of golf, this comedian on the sport of golf said, most people play a fair game of golf. That is, if you watch them. And that was Joe. His wife's still active in the Post, I think. Joey Adams, Joey J, Jay Johnstone, or Jay Silverheels.
All right, go ahead and roll that scrambler, Louie.
You can watch
Is that Mike? I see it lands on Mike. Mike, you're on the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Hello.
Hey, good morning, gentlemen. I'm going to say A on that.
And you're going to be correct.
Well done,
At
Mike.
1 point, you're in the game.
You can watch me, and I'm still going to cheat.
Baseball, Mike, with the World Series coming around, true or false? According to Ancestry.com, Phillies manager Rob Thompson is a distant relative of Giants outfielder Bobby Thompson, who hit the shot heard round the world when the Giants won the 51 pennant. True or false?
False.
You said false?
That is false.
Yeah.
Loaded as fuck.
Sound like something you would make up. Yeah. But it was believable. I mean, it was certainly possible. I think they spelled their name differently, though. That's possible. Also. All right. Very good.
Well,
2 for 2.
Could be misspelled like the way Lubie misspelled curious on one of these things that he's sending out here. But that's another matter. Don't worry about it, Mike. Okay.
He's multitasking, though, Louie. I mean,
yeah, it was phonetically correct.
I actually
Right,
spelled it right, and then spell check spelled it wrong. I mean, that's happened to me a zillion times.
Me too.
Yeah.
All right, NBA. Who was the first NBA player in history to win a championship with 3 different franchises? Robert Horry, Dennis Johnson, John Sally, or Dave DeBusschere?
John Sally.
Sally, yep.
Sally.
Yeah,
Very good.
Well done.
Wow.
Yes. Yep.
You know what? We're on the precipice of possibly.
Could
And
be
that
2
is,
weeks in a row.
could be 2 weeks in a row that we have a sweeper here on the show. So, Mike, good luck here with your 5-point question. And I'm
Well,
not sure which side of the fence Gurggles is on in terms of wishing you luck.
Well, you gave us the call to the Post, so why not? Horse racing. Which horse won the first ever Breeders' Cup Classic? Offshore Judge, Slew of Gold, Gate Dancer, or Wild Again?
Aristides.
Dancer.
Dancer.
No, Gate Dancer finished third. Slew of Gold finished second, and they were beaten in a 3-horse photo by Wild Again in 1984. And Pat Day, I believe, was on him.
Very good. And that once again is a reminder of how, to break Kentucky Derby security by implying that Lubie was Pat Day and actually have the security guy, because it was a raw day on the backstretch there, and it was like 4:30 in the morning. We're trying to get back there to get a radio show up on, on the air at 6 o'clock, and we weren't sure if we had any equipment that was compatible with doing that. And it was more complicated back then also. And so Lubie didn't have a pass. And we put a coat on him, and we hustle him in there. And the guard says, we show our passes. And the guard says, who's that other guy? We go, it's Pat Day. And he goes, hey, Pat, who do you like in the 4th? Now, Lubie would have to lose about 40 pounds to get on the back of a horse, I would think, unless the comment then was, and it was funny because everybody picked up on it, and the comment then the program was must tote heavy package with the horse that Pat Day was riding in the fourth. I guess the security guy was also the morning line maker and was a commentator as well. All right, here we go. We'll get one more in here before we go to the finals. And Dave Gurggles Gergely has the next set of questions here on the program.
Okay, football. This Hall of Fame quarterback, reflecting on his career, said, now that I'm retired, I would like to say publicly that all defensive linemen are sissies. What's that?
Wow.
Dan Fouts, Perry Outs, Perry Como, or Oye Comova?
Get you in a jackpot today, that's for sure. I mean, rolling around the phone scrambler. And where's he calling in from? Isn't he with Chicago now, Goran Dragic?
He's on the Bulls.
Is he with the Bulls? Yeah. All right, Goran Dragic calling in. Goran, good to have you back in town. Good to hear your voice again. How are you?
Thank you very much. Thank you. I better than that guy they got now, that Lowry. Aren't you so happy you got Lowry now? I am so much better than him.
When did Goran spend time in Brooklyn?
Yeah, really. I mean, what happened here, man? Did you join the mob? I mean, Goran in Chicago?
I'm a witness protection program.
All right. Seems that way, at least by your performance with the Bulls so far. No, you've been doing all right. All right, 1 point here, going for 2.
All right, Goran, good luck. Football. Former NFL quarterback Jimmy Clausen is following, not in his father, but in his mother's footstep, and is now a respiratory therapist in Indiana.
Hey, you faded out for a second. I didn't hear anything after his mother.
Okay. Former NFL quarterback Jimmy Clausen is now following in his mother's professional footsteps and is a respiratory therapist in Indiana.
I'll go false.
False. That is false. Yeah.
He's playing in a professional flag football league, as a matter of fact. But that's.
I thought somehow you were going to work pickles into that true-false question.
No, that was last week. That was last week.
All right, that's 2, right? Going for 5.
Yes, sir. All right, hockey. Who was the first hockey player to win Sportsman of the Year honors from Sports Illustrated? Stan Mikita, Bernie Perrant, Wayne Gretzky, or Bobby Orr?
Bobby Orr. I go with Bobby Orr.
Bobby Orr, very good.
1970. Yes, sir.
And he's on the precipice.
Seemed like it would be appropriate. All right, you're tied in a deadlock, a 3-way dead heat right now with Lenny and Mike. You can break that by sweeping the board.
Okay, baseball.
Well, we've had about 3 different entries here on this particular call, right? We had Dragic, we had Joey Zaza, and now we had a little Andy mixed in there. So it's been kind of interesting. It's like Sybil is playing a game.
The 3 faces of Eve. There you go.
Yes.
All right. Baseball. Only 3 players in postseason history have hit a home run on their birthday. Which of the following did not hit a home run on their birthday in postseason?
Common knowledge.
Willie Aikens, Evan Longoria, Colton Wong, or Alex Gonzalez?
Wow. Pumpsy Green in
I didn't
there?
hear any choices, so I'll just go with Wong. But you talk about Sybil. There was this girl I went out with on a match the other day, and I didn't like her personality. He said, "Don't worry, I got 10 other ones."
And your
All right, he said
answer-
Wong.
your
He
answer
said
was
Colton Wong. Yeah.
Wong. Well, that
Wong.
answer is Wong. No, that answer's Wong.
Oh, it's Wong.
That's
Okay.
not Wong, but
Careful,
it's wrong. It's
careful,
Alex
careful,
Gonzalez. Alex Gonzalez of the Marlins was.
Let
that
the other guys be in the runoff. I gotta.
Yeah, please go develop another personality.
All right.
All right, there we go.
There you go. Going very busy as to go to practice. Maybe a little shoot around there with the Bulls. All right. So that's going to bring us to Mike and Lenny to contest, very appropriately so, the championship here of today's edition of the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. And while Lubie puts that together, Dave, we should get in another word about Perdomo Cigars.
Yeah. I'll probably have one out there today. I'll be out there from 12 to 5. at Perdomo Cigar. I mean, at hole number 5, I'll have a nice Perdomo cigar with me. And a matter of fact, you can get one easy. 5150 Northwest 167th Street, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. Call them 305-627-6700. When you go in there, see lovely Lauren. That is the 4th generation Perdomo. She is Nick Jr.'s lovely wife. She'll direct you to the humidor that our late great friend, the Mad Dog, built. Go in there. They'll help you with any kind of selection you want. Nick's office is right off there. Nick Jr.'s office as well. Truly a family-run business, making cigars perfect one at a time. So today, tomorrow, whenever you want, get yourself a Perdomo cigar and enjoy life, because it's too short.
You know, this talk of you being on hole number 5, I'm trying to envision hole number 5. One very wide open.
It's a real short par 3 with water on the right-hand side. Yep.
Okay, I'm still struggling to envision that. Which hole is that short par 5 when you make the turn there? Is that 6?
Well, when you make the turn, number 12 is a short par 5. Yeah, but when you go after that elevated tee, the next one's a par 3, then a par 4, then you cross the guard gate into Loch Lomond, and that's par 5, number 5.
17 is the real short one, though, right? Is it 17?
Yeah. Well, 5 is shortest, 17 is the second shortest. You're right.
Okay, all right. Because all right, I'm trying to picture you out there, Gurggles. I think it's going to be magnificent today, and especially, I mean, I love that thing where somehow after the fact, the 20 shows up on a credit card. I think that's just brilliant. For they beat the broadcaster collections because guys are sometimes reluctant. They talk a big game. They don't want to go to their pocket.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Although you seem, this is so perfect for you to do because I mean. That is a perfect stage for you. Now do you rip the people's shots on the microphone as they shank balls all over the place?
No, I don't have a microphone with me, but I don't need it. Where they're right there with me. So, if they hit it in the water on number 5, I say, well, we have it close to the pin, but you just won closest to the manatee. So, we give them prizes like that. So,
all right, and you're pinning a bucket of range balls. Is that what you're going with?
Range balls. I just hit them. Smoke a cigar, hit a range ball. Yep. Sit down and have fun.
Okay, and then now, do you have to go up to the green each time after you tee off and then come back, or do you just stay in one spot?
I hit the ball. If I'm off the green and they're on, they win. If I'm on the green and they're closer, they win. And if it's even close, I always give them the prize. So I don't have to do it. I can eyeball it from 100.
So what do they do with your ball? Do they take it and throw it back to you?
Oh, they just throw it off to the side. I pick a ball up at the end of the day.
All right, makes sense. All right, very good. Dave Gurggles Gergely. We're set for the finals here. We do have Lenny. We do have Mike. Dave's going to fire up the question, guys.
We're not quite set for the finals. But don't forget.
Oh, we were
not quite set. So don't forget, next Friday, a week from tomorrow, is Breeders' Cup. So why not go out to Hialeah in advance, pick out the spot you want. You can probably reserve your own booth. It'll be $5 or $10 for a private booth with volume and everything. I think it's 11:30 post time on Friday and either 9:30 or 10:30 post time on Saturday. And Hialeah Park is the place to watch all this. Great food and beverage and an unbelievable Breeders' Cup weekend. So don't miss Hialeah Park, the place to be.
All right, I think we're going to have to just split the prize. Lubie, I mean, you can see the frustration there. It's one thing about being on this live video stream is that you can see, just a shot fighter slumped in the corner there. It looks like Costazoo that time he quit in the 12th round and nobody could believe it. And you're thinking, wow, here's the ultimate warrior, and he's gonna sit there on a stool. But he has come back to life here, I guess, a little bit. He says his phone is prohibiting us from going ahead and conducting the finals.
So who is this supposed to be? Lenny and Ron?
Lenny or Mike. We could hit the scrambler and decide that.
Yeah, use the scrambler to give the prize.
There you go, Lubie. We can possibly do that. Or it looks like he's trying to find some way to redeem the integrity of the program here. What now?
Both of you on air, hold on, and Mike, hold on. And I'm going to try and get Lenny on the line one more.
Lenny is the problem? Then why don't we just concede the victory to Mike automatically?
It might be working now, so let's try.
Why don't we say Lenny's the problem instead of your phone?
All right, why don't we toss it to a quick break here, and we'll figure this out. So we'll come back with more, and hopefully conduct the finals and contest the finals in a moment. Now that it's 8:29.
Folks, Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched, steaks hand cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Recently, we realized it's not just hurricane season that can hurt us. Any time of year, things can happen to your home or business. And the insurance company can be your friend, but they also can be your enemy. Horizon Public Adjusters, Justina Testa, are here for you to help this process go so much easier. Before you call the insurance company, call Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa at 954-809-8752.
The winner to organize the 2022 FIFA World Cup is Qatar.
We now return to the Defo Show, right here on 940 Wins Miami Sports. Here on 9.
FIFA among the leaders in terms of sports organizational criminal activity, and that represented a lot of it, as they had to move the World Cup underground to try and accommodate, the players' desire not to pass out in the heat in Qatar. All right, we were about to pass out there trying to get the finals together, but we have it together right now, so we're going to go right to it. Here's Dave. He's going to fire off the question. Guys, call your name out if you want to answer right away. Nobody does. Multiple choice. First person to call out his name gets first chance. Back and forth till we have a winner for the championship here of the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Here's the great Dave Gurggles Gergely.
All right, World Series Baseball. What team won the first ever indoor game in World Series history?
All right, anybody? Here's the, what's that?
Oh, Lenny didn't give an answer. He groaned. He forgot that.
Lenny just groaned. Okay. All right, here are the choices.
Okay. Was it A, the Houston Astros, B, the Toronto Blue Jays, C, the Minnesota Twins, or D, the St. Louis Cardinals, who won, not necessarily hosted, but won the first ever indoor game?
Lenny.
Who was it?
Go ahead.
St. Louis.
St. Louis.
No.
Incorrect.
No.
3 left
Sorry,
for Mike.
Lenny. Mike, was it the Houston Astros, the Toronto Blue Jays, or the Minnesota Twins?
Toronto.
No.
Incorrect.
No one
And
ever
he's
did.
also wrong on that.
Always that.
Lenny,
2
was it
left
the
for
Houston
Lenny.
Astros or the Minnesota Twins?
Go with the Twins.
Twins, correct. All right.
1987, they beat the Cardinals 10-1 in that opening game.
Right. Yeah.
Sufreen is just going to put the gift certificate on your account. He doesn't even bother with the actual certificates anymore. So you now have $250 in free play, I think, at Landlubbers. Hasn't he won like 10 times? I don't know. It's been pretty incredible. Nice run there by Lenny DeChronic. All right, Gurggles, you have fun, man. I know you're very busy, and we appreciate you coming on the show. It was fantastic. Great
Talk
job
to you
by
next
you.
Thursday.
What's your prediction on the series, by the way? Phillies in how many?
6.
6. All right. Phillies in 6.
Phillies in 6.
Bryce Harper
Yep.
MVP. You got plus 750 on that. Bryce Harper MVP of the
Ryan
series.
Ryan Hoskins MVP.
Hoskins,
Oh, wow. That's got to be huge odds. Are you kidding me? You should put a little taste on that. Dave Gurggles Gergely. Take some of that capital there off the credit card slips on the Beat the Broadcaster. That is brilliant. I love that, man. Because, a lot of the, complaints on the Let's Eat South Florida thing with Mike Mayo are related to, and people are putting surcharges and different things, and you get the check and it's like $3 more than you were expecting, and you happen to notice it, which that would get by me. I think it would. I don't do a lot of check scrutinization, although maybe I should be more careful about that, right?
Yep.
But
I'm the same way as you. I usually just let it go, and now with mayo, it stressed me out. So I actually looked down every freaking thing.
All right. You're breaking up a little bit on me now, Lubie. But anyway, we're going to come back with more later on today. And is he still set to go? He's been very reliable, almost frighteningly so. Brandon Lang on our Believe podcast with his predictions for the weekend. It's sort of an extension and a preliminary, a pregame show for the Degenerate Friday that we're going to conduct tomorrow here with all of our handicappers. Mark Lawrence, the professor, of course, Professor's Big Board. Mike Mayo should be sorting through some Breeders' Cup selections, no? Mayo, I think, is a good turf handicapper. I want to say that's his game. Turf? 2-year-old maiden fillies on the turf. No, I don't know what category is that. But he has some good insight into stuff. He was, crowing about some breeding angle that he had when I was out with him at Dania, punching away that one Friday after we went to what was that with the Bake Shack?
Yes.
Amazing, yes, the Bake Shack, and we went over, we were punching away, and he came up with a brilliant theory about a horse in the slop, and sure enough, it turned out to be right, and he cashed a big exacta ticket. So he'll have some selections for us as well, no doubt, after the preliminary perusal of the Breeders' Cup entries. I think they came out yesterday, so people are all over that. All right, and that's a week from Friday and a week from Saturday. 1 week away from the Breeders' Cup at Keeneland. It was real crappy weather there yesterday at Keeneland, but it's supposed to be clearing up. You never know what you're going to get, right? Kentucky, very mixed. You think Florida, the weather changes every 15 minutes? Kentucky, it could be like 65 degrees, bright sunshine, not a cloud in the sky, and then a hailstorm at 32 degrees. 15 minutes later, like driving straight into your face, golf ball size hail. All right, we're coming back with more here on the show. Hialeah Park, we thank them for supporting, continuing to support the Trivia Challenge and all the programs here on South Florida Live. Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, also another destination of choice for many, many people. We've been talking about it, and thank you, people, for the great response. People are finally realizing, I talk about this all the time. It was evident again last night when we were at the Funky Biscuit, that people in South Florida are very slow to react to a good thing.
Yep.
Right? And they don't want to bust with traditions that have gone on forever. Even if they don't care for them, they still, bring themselves to just self-sabotage and go to places they otherwise have no desire to be. Like that gas station in Florida City where you stop and fill up, and then at the same time you're saying, hey, let's get something to eat in here. You come out with like a bag of Cheetos and a plutonium-encased sandwich. You don't want that. Go to Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, man, for the same money, practically. I mean, you can go get some really fine, freshly made food, the finest and freshest seafood you're going to find anywhere in the Keys, right there, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. All of the other things that they feature, including an incredible array of pizzas that includes the Italian Fisherman and many others. We've been touting the Italian Fisherman because it's such a specialty there.
It's just different. It's just different.
My mission, is to convince Sarni that it's better than he thinks. I don't know if I'm going to convince him. Yeah.
Literally, Sarni comes out to these remotes with us where we have a lot of food and he never eats.
Yeah.
So he's just, and it's fine. I'm not judging him. So he might not be the person we're targeting. It's just is what it is,
All right. And that's the place to go. If you're going to the Keys, Key Largo, they have accommodations there. They're great. It's a great place to hang out for the day. You know me, I like to lean against the wall in a swimming pool there, sip a cocktail, have my conversations, watch the birds fly, the seagulls, and the pleasant, subtle sounds of serenity, my friends. The subtle sounds of serenity. That's what and at the same time, all the excitement that you could possibly want to muster up. I don't know how they do it, man. It's like a duality that's very hard to bring about, but they did it at Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, right? Because there'll be people hoisting them at the bar, watching, Penn State, go out there against Ohio State. Who are you taking in that game, by the way? Would you lay 15 in a hook? Ohio State, Penn State.
Yeah. I go
That's a big one, Libby.
Ohio State.
15 in a hook.
That's a big
handicappers in the Post seem to slightly favor Ohio State.
Ohio State.
How great is it that I finally got my newspaper delivered here? I had to call again yesterday. Spoke to a nice young lady, and I was, very cordial about the whole thing. See, I started the whole, notion. I said that I really appreciate your normally reliable and brilliant delivery, but lately it's a crapshoot, right? I don't know. Maybe the guy's truck is having problems or whatever. But can you get the fucking no? Start slowly. I mean, you don't want to explode. You don't want to snap in the middle of the thing. You won't have those problems when you're chilling at Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, right? You'll forget about all of the things that plague you, right? All of the nonsense that goes through your mind during the course of the day. Imagine if you could release yourself from that. I've been trying for the last year to concentrate on the Zen in life, on my walk of life. But I haven't been able to really accomplish moving on in a lot of these mental areas. And all I've realized is that my ankle is in chronic pain.
Oh, good. That's good.
I started taking some new supplements, Lubie, to take care of that. But there's no substitute for peace of mind. And that's what it's like at Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. And then on top of that, like a piece of the action there with all the great food and games that you can watch. The sports bar is great. The music that's going on live all day, Saturday and Sunday. And then Larry, Calvano getting out there, the owner, with the band, Dominic and Jemmy. Just a class place. I mean, and a perfect place to take in the really just unusual and inherent beauty of the Keys. Mile marker 104, the Overseas Highway in Key Largo. It's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. We love the people down there. Still trying to make the arrangements. Is it Richie Incognito time for Tommy Fox when we need him? I hope not. Those arrangements are coming.
Go direct.
Yeah.
Maybe time to say, hey, how you doing?
All right, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, mile marker 104, the Overseas Highway in Key Largo. Back with more, and then don't forget Brandon Lang on our Believe podcast. I'm Jeff DeForest. He is a little bit in and out, verbal ransom note. Mike Lubie Lubitz, so I hope he's coming in clearly wherever you're receiving the show. Back with more in a moment. Now that.
Jesus.
The time. It's 8:41. Play the ponies in style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
Hey folks, Tony Segreto here. You know, since day one, Catholic Health Services has been part of Old School. And since we've started letting people know about them, it's changed their lives. You see, Catholic Health Services, while being recognized as one of the top places for stroke rehab in the country, it's also about a group of people who not just excel in what they do, from the doctors to the nurses to the therapists, on and on and on. It's how they do what they do every single day that separates them from the pack. They do it with a passion, unmatched, and the inclusion of family in every step of the process. Trust me when I tell you this. If you want the best, unmatched rehab with a special group of skilled, caring people, there is truly only one place, and that one place is Catholic Health Services.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. Their hours have changed a little bit. Monday through Thursday from 3:30 to 10, and Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 11:30 to 10. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Mr. Cantangeli, were you a member of the Corleone family? Did you serve under Capo regime, under Vito Corleone, also known as the Godfather?
I never knew no Godfather.
Mr. Cantangeli, you are contradicting a sworn statement you previously made to me and signed. I ask you again, sir, here and now under oath, were you at any time of a crime organization headed by Corleone?
I don't know nothing about that. Oh. I was in the olive oil business with his father, but that was a long time ago, that's all.
We have a sworn affidavit. We have it. your sworn affidavit that you murdered on the orders of Michael Corleone. Do you deny the confession?
Look, the FBI guys, they promised me a deal. So I made up a lot of stuff about Michael Corleone, because that's what they wanted. But it was all lies. Everything. I kept saying, Michael Corleone did this, and Michael Corleone did that. So I said, yeah, sure.
It's now time for the Defo Show.
All right, welcome back to the show, the Defo Show here. Jeff DeForest, Mike Lubie Lubitz. I am getting kind of a spaced out signal coming from what is being generated by Lubie in our home base there. So hopefully you guys are hearing me loud and clear. And we have a few more things to say here before we make our exit on this Thursday edition of the program, the Defo Show here on South Florida Live. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for tuning in, by the way. And later on, it's always a hoot. I never know what direction it's going to go in. This business with Brandon Lang on the Believe podcast. That's BLEAV. And it's kind of been our only entry of late. We've been sort of lax on the Believe podcast. I'm not sure exactly, where that's gone. But when Lang is on the show, it's hysterical. And I find myself just amazed at the barriers that, Lang will approach of good taste in presenting, a handicapping platform where and he's very good at what he does. I mean, one thing we always say, if you like a guy, even if he loses one, but you listen to what he had to say about the game and his analysis, I mean, you're always going to find things that just confound you in terms of how they possibly could go against everything that pointed in the direction. I mean, that's part of the beauty of sports, and especially with wagering, the great equalizer, of course, is the point spread. And then beyond that, not only do you have to overcome that, but then the juice. These are the two things that will send the gambler to an early death: the point spread and the juice. All right, so we do have some interesting games, Lubie, and I don't know. I'm hoping your equipment is working there.
It's not.
But okay, you have a little problem. All right, I just run through a couple of these. I'm looking at. I don't have much interest in NC State, Virginia Tech. Now just a meaningless ACC game to me. I like the coach at NC State, even though I can't tell you his name. Is it Draper? Something like that?
Dave Dorn.
Dorn, yeah, something like that. All right. Dorn. I like that guy. Okay. Virginia Tech, it hasn't really. It's been a long, long time since you thought, wow, I mean, the last thing you want to do is face Virginia Tech. And, that goes back to, they were, terrific there for a long time, especially defensively and on special teams. They were known for their special teams and, really did a great job there. Had some good games against the University of Miami in the heyday of the University of Miami, but little interest in that one. All right. Utah has been kind of an interesting team, right? Did they have 2 losses, Utah, or 1? 2? Okay, because they lost the opener, and that was a little bit of a shocker, and everybody thought the Gators were on a springboard there to maybe great success this season. That hasn't necessarily worked out the way that they would have liked, although they're in with a challenge this week against Georgia. Would you go ahead? All right, let me ask you this, Lubie, because you'd be more familiar with Gator football, where it's at right now, than I would be. Would you go ahead and take 22 and a hook and say that Florida can give Georgia a ball game? What do you think? 22 and a hook, a very generous allotment of points. Now, they can lose by 3 touchdowns, and you still win. What do you think?
I'd go Gators in that. I hate the Gators, but over 3 touchdowns in a rivalry game, that's a lot. Maybe it's not that bad.
This is at the world's largest cocktail party, too. So played essentially on a neutral site, although, and I would imagine that the tickets are distributed about half and half for this thing. Which, it's a great Southern tradition. I've never been to one of those games. Did you venture over to the world's largest? I mean, the attraction would be, this is the world's largest cocktail party. It's like a modern day Woodstock, only it happens on an annual basis. So how was your experience there?
I was in college, so it was the dream. It's a Halloween weekend, so you get girls of all kinds dressed up half naked all weekend long. So it was a great time.
My kind of gig. Yeah, I enjoy that. And the alcohol, I would imagine moonshine would have been probably the most prominent thing being served there. Never mind like Tito's. I mean, we're just talking something that, as I said, was probably the equivalent of Aqua Velva strained through white bread, which was a big thing that people did in the Army back in like World War II when they, were dying for a buzz. All right. Speaking of buzzes, we're getting something there from your computer. So we're going to go ahead and, bail out on this one and then come back later on today. You can catch the Believe podcast, usually posted about 11 o'clock. Brandon Lang with his handicap. And tomorrow we'll have a full-fledged Degenerate Friday. Professor involved, coming off probably just destroying the entire mental foundation of the Chronics team as he continues to hammer them with questions that would be impossible to answer no matter what level of intellect you possess. It's great, right? I mean, literally like one of those people that just rattles off all the Jeopardy answers while you're happy that you got the $200 question in round two or round one, whatever. You answered one for a deuce about McDonald's or something, and now you're thinking, you didn't know that, right? What is it? I mean, an immediate competition starts with the person that's watching the show with you, right? I got that one first. And you're like, you want to kill each other at the end of Jeopardy, though. It's kind of how it goes. All right, we're going to see you guys tomorrow. With Mike Mayo will be part of the show, and he's going to join us later on. Thursday's going to be home base, and then tomorrow we're at Wicked Cheese Steaks, which is a favorite of mine, and I know, Libby, you liked it too. Actually, you had discovered it before I did. And we're raving about it. And we'll be there. It's on Federal Highway, just south of Commercial Boulevard. And great little place, man. I mean, come on in for lunch. You could tell how popular it was when we were there last time. The place was just flowing. I mean, in terms of people through the door there, and they're delivering, and you can order to take it out. But Wicked Cheesesteaks on Friday going to be our home base for Mike Mayo's Lunchbox. And I think I'm going to, stay away from the food a little bit for the next couple of days so I can just, bear down on what's going to be in front of us there, including they make great pizzas also. I think that went understated when we were there last time because we were raving about the lobster roll, Lubie. But their pizzas there are top notch as well. All right, so we'll see you later on, Mike Mayo's Lunchbox, and then tomorrow, Degenerate Friday. And then come join us there at Wicked Cheesesteaks. If you're a fan of the show, we'd love to meet you and have you come out there and have just a great lunch. Now, it's not on us, but it practically is because the prices there, wow, I mean, extremely reasonable. Their lobster roll is only $19. I mean, you don't see it for under 20 anywhere. And it was as good as any I've had. It was absolutely fantastic. I mean, you could go a little more. I don't know that there is a higher end in what people are looking for in a lobster roll, except they want it to be 100% Maine lobster, right? Very little other stuff, just a little bit of flavor added in, and boom, put it right there on the roll, and we're ready to go. All right, we'll see you later on, and catch our Believe podcast with Brandon Lang. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Thanks for playing the game. Thanks to Dave Gurggles Gergely, Mike Lubie Lubitz. I'm Jeff DeForest. We'll see you later on as we leave you now that.
It's time.
It's 8:53.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
To my show.